From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your evening update.
Dennis's Heating and Air Conditioning is Northern California's premier heating and air conditioning contractor. From residential housing, large commercial projects, installation to repair, sheet metal fabrication, and everything in between, we are your go-to heating and air conditioning specialist.
Well, Happy New Year to you all. Hope you had a good start to 2024. You know, we started off the year with dry, mild conditions. Really not a bad start to the year. Now, of course, we all want the rain, we all want the snow, but it's on the way. So no need to worry about it. Get out there, and I hope you enjoyed the dry and mild weather out there. It's still chilly, especially in the mountains, but still chilly nonetheless. It's winter, and it's what we'd expect. But snow levels are going to be dropping with the approaching storm systems coming in this week, significantly lower. I mean, we were talking last week, 6,000 feet and higher, from the really 5,000 feet and higher, right? We're going to drop those snow levels by several thousand feet. All right, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit more detail here in a second, but yeah, you get the idea. I think the ski park, the Mount Shasta Ski Park, has some good news ahead of it this week. I think we're looking pretty good. A wet pattern continues off and on well into next week, so not just this week, but even next week. Looks like we've got kind of a series of storms heading our way. But again, it's that pattern we like, where we see a few days of rain, a few days of dry weather, a few days of rain, a break, more rain, a break, right? So that's the way you want it, because then we reduce the potential for flooding. That's some great news. That's what we want, right? The rain without the flooding. All right. So here's a look that we've got going on the North Coast. Showers will begin to develop in the morning. Also the case for the inland, and not to mention for Trinity County. Now that's also the case for places like the Valley, but the bulk of the rain for the Valley eastward is going to hold off until late in the day and into the evening and overnight hours. Now the winds are something we've got to keep a close eye on as well. Take a look at this. Now as the main cold front's passing through for the coast, that's when the winds will pick up there. We're also seeing the typical spot in central Siskiyou County is the Shasta Valley, where we see some strong winds there. There may be a wind advisory that we could be looking at here, okay? But bottom line, gusty winds in some of the typical spots. Now, another point I want to stop here is sometime around Tuesday night, as the main cold front is passing through the valley, we've got some gusty winds there. This is important to take note because we talk about those convergence lines that we see. It's kind of unique to our area. And in fact, it's been studied across the nation here. This particular spot here, strong south winds butt up against the mountains, and it creates upward lift that you need for showers and thunderstorms to develop. If we have those strong south winds sticking around for a while, it can continue to squeeze out more and more moisture over one area for a long period of time, and we can see some localized flooding. Now, this doesn't always happen, even when the forecast models are projecting that, but it's something we need to keep an eye on, especially if you live around the Redding area, because sometimes that line can be north of Redding, sometimes it can shift a little bit more to the south, closer to, say, even around Anderson. So it just depends. So it can kind of shift north and south. But that's something I've got my eyes on, and that'll probably continue into the overnight hours before the winds do eventually die down by your Wednesday. All right, so here's the big picture. What we're seeing here is a nice stream of moisture coming in. That's the subtropical moisture that we need. This here is the colder air. Why can I tell that it's colder air? Well, number one, it's coming in from the Gulf of Alaska. But number two, you see what's happening? You see the speckled clouds? That right there is a telltale sign that that's colder air. That colder air is moving over us, and that's going to allow our snow levels to be much lower than we've seen with these past storms since last week. All right, so here's a look at Futurecast. Let's walk you through the timing of it all. Here's tonight at 6 p.m. It's dry. It's been a dry start to the year. However, look at tomorrow. Here's tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. We're seeing the prefrontal showers move in. That means, yeah, some showers moving in, nothing terribly heavy at this point. The main band is off to our west. Now, I'm beginning to see that this storm system doesn't have quite the defined line with the main cold front. So it'll turn into more of just some widespread rainfall and heavy at times for some of us as the colder air begins to filter in. Now, noon, some of those prefrontal showers are now off to the east, so they will move through parts of the valley through the morning tomorrow. But again, the main band of rain, the heavier rainfall, is still off to the west at this point. Now by noon, yes, the north coast, you're seeing moderate to heavy rainfall. There could be the slight chance for a few thunderstorms embedded in here at times, and especially just off the coast here as well, over the ocean. A lot of times we'll see those thunderstorms here, but they don't quite materialize along the coast. And that could very well be the case here for tomorrow as well. But that's noon tomorrow. Watch what happens as we go into Tuesday afternoon. So through the day, this all kind of pushes eastward. Now earlier we were seeing a more of a well-defined line. So it looks like it's just kind of getting washed in with some heavy rainfall at times and progressively getting stronger and heavier as we go into the mid to late afternoon hours for the valley. Now another thing I want to point out is the snow. You see here the darker shades of blue? That's right here. Okay, so that's indicating the heavier snow. Kind of the same situation when you see the yellows and oranges and reds, that means it's heavier rainfall, right? So kind of the same situation with the snow. When you see the darker shades of blue, that's indicating heavier snow. So with an overall snow level of approximately 4,000 feet, sometimes when you have these heavy downpours of snow, there's colder air associated with that. Sometimes you can get a nice rush of cold air that comes down to the surface. I mean, it doesn't create really gusty winds. It just kind of helps to bring in that colder air to help support snow in lower levels. Now, nothing significant. If snow level is going to be around 4,000 feet, it may drop those snow levels by around 500 feet. So places like Mount Shasta City, not out of the question to see some snowflakes on Tuesday, especially in the evening. Not to mention maybe around Bernie as well. But Hayfork, Weaverville, probably not. Still probably in the form of rain. And not to mention, of course, the valley. But could be looking at heavy rainfall at times. All right, take a look at this. I'm going to take you into about 3 a.m. on Wednesday. So this is late tomorrow night, early Wednesday morning. Remember those strong south winds I was talking about and that convergence line? Well, it looks like Futurecast is picking up on that a bit here. So we could be looking at the potential of a bit of a convergence line and maybe the potential for flooding if it holds on strong enough. Something I'll be watching here very closely, but we're still seeing a lot of that snow in the mountains. So places like Alturas, again, maybe Mount Shasta City, maybe Bernie. Bernie's going to be borderline, but Chester, Susanville could see some snow out of this. And this is Wednesday morning at 3 a.m. All right, now we're going to take you into Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. Now we're kind of wrapping things up. We've got an area of low pressure spinning off to the coast, and we're seeing some wraparound moisture coming in from the south. This will all just kind of dive down to the south as we go into Wednesday evening. But look at Wednesday at 5 p.m. Look at that. We're seeing some snow around Alturas, maybe out towards Susanville. But this is not very heavy at this point. The heavier activities you can see is in the north and east. But we could be looking at some snow coming in Wednesday evening. And then by Wednesday night, it looks like most of it's out of here and will be dry by Thursday before more rain comes in after that, which we'll get into that here in a second. But look at the rainfall totals. So again, if we should see some of that convergence line develop with those strong winds, I think around the Redding area could see upwards of 1.5 inches to 2 inches. But if that convergence line doesn't quite materialize, and that may not happen, but if it does, then we could be in the heavier rainfall. However, I think on average, about 1 inch, give or take, for most of us in the valley, and that's about the case here for the north coast as well, but not as much precipitation off to the north and to the east. How about that snow? Check this out. We're starting to see more and more of the snow begin to show up in numbers on the map. Mount Shasta City, Alturas, Ayden, Susanville, Chester, Quincy, maybe even Bernie, not to mention Shingletown, quite possibly, especially 3,500 feet or higher, but not quite for Weaverville and Hayfork just yet, mainly in the form of rain at this point. All right, let's take a look at this. In fact, this is why we can't take this to be exact, because the forecast models have backed off a little bit. There's the ski park. So as we go through 5 p.m. Tuesday, a couple inches of snow. Not out of the question. 4, maybe close to 8 inches of snow for the Mount Shasta ski park. And that's at the base. Okay, so at 5,500 feet, you could see over 4 inches of snow. And of course, more than that heading up higher, right? Now take a look at this. We're going to take you into Wednesday. Now remember, we were kind of getting into these colors here for the ski park. Not the case now. It's backing off, but hey, you know what? Look at that color right there. What is that? Yeah, 12 inches or more of snow is a possibility. So I would not be surprised. It's not guaranteed because, of course, we still got a few more days to kind of get through to this. But I would not be surprised if the base of the ski park is looking at a good base of snow at this point. Do this. All do this with me. Let's just keep our fingers crossed. I know there are a lot of people who want to get out there skiing, snowboarding, the works, right? So hopefully we can get an announcement date once we do start seeing more of that snow moving in. Now here's the thing. Yes, Thursday we are going to see a break, but we're going to have so much snow up there that it won't have time to melt because check this out. By Friday, we get another storm system coming in. This one looks even lower with the snow levels. Now we're going out to Friday here. A lot can happen between now and then, but I've got snow levels around 3,500 feet on Friday. How about Saturday? All right, there you go. Now we're talking even lower snow levels, possibly down to 2,000 feet. Hayfork, Weaverville, yeah, you could see some snow, not a ton, but you could see some snow. But this is all helping to support keeping the snow in place out of the Shasta Board Ski Park, right? Then you can see some of the heavier snow off to the east. Now we're still, of course, seeing the rain in the valley. All right, check this out. And I'm just doing this to kind of show you a trend, because as we go into next week, we are going to be looking at more precipitation. Now I want to point out, and you can probably see it right here, look how close this snow is getting to the valley. I'm going to let that sink in for a little bit here. But I also don't want you to go off telling your friends that Mike said it was going to snow or is going to snow next Tuesday or Wednesday of next week either. But this particular forecast model, and even the European forecast model, is bringing that snow in fairly and awfully close, uncomfortably close, quite honestly, as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. Will it be cold enough? We're going to have to wait and see. As we get closer and closer to next week, we'll start getting a better handle on that. But we're seeing signs of that. This is that colder air we're talking about moving in. Take a look at Wednesday. Again, you see how that snow is getting really close to the valley. That's next Wednesday. So that's what, a week from this upcoming Wednesday. You cannot take this and go, oh, there's the forecast, that's what's going to happen. No, do not do that. I just want to point out that we're looking at that possibility, but no guarantees just yet. Mike Kruger did not say on January 1st, 2024, he did not say it's going to snow on Tuesday and Wednesday. He just said it, but that's not what he's saying for the forecast just yet. Okay, so we got to keep a close eye on that. All right, here's your precipitation outlook for January 7th through the 11th. Take a look at this. Again, we're seeing better chances for rain really for the entire western United States. And of course, this big blob here is where you expect better chances, all right? Check this out too. This is what's helping to support the lower snow levels. Remember last week, the last couple of weeks, we were looking at a lot of orange on the map over here. That's why we were seeing snow levels 5, 6, 7,000 feet. But now, as this colder air begins to filter in, now we're talking, right? Because now we're talking lower snow levels. All right, let's switch gears, get you to the marine forecast. There you can see for your Tuesday, those wave heights are going to be increasing because of the approaching storm system. They'll probably increase even higher, unfortunately, as we go into Wednesday. But again, keep in mind, it's not like the past storms. Those storms were pretty intense, and that's why we saw those fairly high wave heights. Marine forecast for your Tuesday. There is a small craft advisory, and that'll last actually into Wednesday evening. So just be aware of that if you do need to be out on a small vessel. Here's what it looks like for tonight. It's getting pretty cool out there. Those temperatures in the mid-30s on average as we take you into the valley, mid to upper 30s, and not to mention often the eastern mountains. Let's take you into tomorrow. Here's what it looks like. Temperatures are much cooler. We're seeing the clouds moving in, the cooler air moving in as well, so only looking at highs in the low 50s. It may be warmer than that to start off, but as the cooler air moves in, our temperatures will start to drop as well. And then, of course, you can see upper 50s, mid to upper 50s out along the coast. So let's take a look at your 7-day outlook. There it is. So again, broad brush forecast is what I like to call it. Snow levels on average for all of Northern California about 4,000 feet, give or take. Typically, we see higher snow levels for the Southern Cascades, Northern Sierra. They tend to be a little bit lower out towards Trinity County, for example. But it's just all going to depend on where you are. It's all going to depend on where some of that cooler air begins to kind of settle on in. All right, let's take a look at your 7-day outlook for the valley. Heavier rainfall, especially in the afternoon and the evening. Showers off and on through the day on Wednesday, nothing terribly heavy. We do expect a break and slightly warmer on Thursday. More showers as we go into Friday and Saturday, drying out again for next Sunday and possibly even Monday of next week. Here's your 7-day outlook for the North Coast, and of course the showers, heavy rainfall at times, especially in the morning. And then it looks like we do have a break for everybody on Thursday. And then it looks like more showers as we go into Friday, Saturday, not to mention maybe even Sunday for the coast. Maybe a bit of a break though for Sunday, Monday for Weaverville.